Luke 24, verses 13 to 35. That very day, two of them were going to a village named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and they were talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What is this conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk?" And they stood still. One of them, named Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" And they said to him, "Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who is a prophet, mighty in deed and word by God and all the people. The chief priests delivered him up to be put to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things happened. For some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early and did not find his body. They came back, saying they had seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself." So they drew near to the village to which they were going. Now far spent. So he went in to stay with them. When he was at table with them, he took the bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened and they recognized him. He vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Our hearts burn within us while he talked with us on the road? Will he open to us the scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed and has appeared to Simon." Then they told what happened on the road and how he healed them in the breaking of the bread. The disciples had been walking home. It's not a short ways, about 7 miles from Jerusalem to Emmaus. And these two were filled with sadness. Notice how the directions in this text emphasize what's going on here. They are walking away from Jerusalem, away from the room where they had previously met with Jesus, away from the place he had been crucified and buried, the memories so painful, away from their disciples, their fellow disciples, their brethren, away from it all, walking back to their homes, from which Jesus no doubt had called them. And then when Jesus appears and begins walking with them, after he asks, what things are you talking about? It says that they stand still, looking sad. But then notice how these directions are reversed. That standing still and that moving away from Jerusalem. After Jesus on this trip has had such a wonderful study with them, revealing himself to them in the scriptures before they even knew that he was Jesus. And after he has revealed himself to them in the breaking of the bread and vanished out of their sight, they don't stand still anymore. They don't head away from Jerusalem anymore. They go back. And I have to sort of imagine that they probably ran, right? To get back there. And they go immediately, directly to their brethren, to the other disciples. And they gather with them there in that room. And just imagine the mood in that room that evening. All of them talking excitedly, telling each other who had seen Jesus and where and what he had said, what it all meant. And then he appeared to them in the midst. May this be what Jesus' resurrection does for us too. May it change our direction. Because so often, due to our sins, due to our selfishness, due to our sorrows, we move away from the place where Jesus wants us to be. We move away from the congregation of believers that are fellowshipping in true unity around his word and sacraments. We move away because we think we have better things to do, or we move away because we feel bad about something that we did and we don't want to be judged for it. We move away because we're impressed with the arguments of our world, of reason and science. We don't listen to God's word anymore. We move away and stand still in sadness. Let us instead see Jesus in his word. May he reveal himself to us as he did to them in that word, so that our hearts burn, as we see in Moses and all the prophets, that he had to suffer and die and be raised the third day. And may we, in such faith, run back, drawing ever closer to his people, drawing together with our congregation, drawing together in church, where he appears in the midst of us in word and in sacrament to give himself to us in the forgiveness of sins. See, when the Emmaus disciples realized that Jesus was really alive, they knew they didn't have anywhere better to be than with the disciples, than with the brethren, than with their brothers and sisters, than with their fellow believers. They knew they didn't have anywhere better to be than to gather together and talk about what had just happened, about what he had done. It's the same for us. When we gather together, when our congregation gathers together around word and sacrament, you don't have anywhere better to be. You don't have anything more important going on. Not even close. This is the place where the risen Christ comes and shows himself to us in the scriptures and in the breaking of the bread. May we run, not apart, not destroying the fellowship, not abandon it, but drawing ever closer together as we wait for him